Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We are back after a week off. I've been at the SEC Women's Conference Tournament, had a blast. We are here to do our conference tournament previews tonight.
Can I please have your attention?
What's all the commotion around here?
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
All right, guys, welcome back in. I've got John Hammonds with me tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, buddy?
It's been a week since we've been on. We don't usually do that, but it has been a week since we've been on. This is not the Big Fuss Show. We're going to do our conference tournament previews tonight for March Madness. Everything is heating up. It is almost middle of March, and we are in the mix here of the major conference champions. A bunch of the little ones have already, a few of them's already ended. So we're going to kind of do our conference tournament previews tonight. That's what we plan on doing. But before we get started, I want to remind you guys that if you are on our Facebook page, you can send us stars. By sending stars, it'll help us earn some money to be able to make more content for you guys. And we would appreciate it very much if you guys would send us some stars. So again, that is on Facebook only. If you are on Facebook watching us, I did want to put that up there to start out with. So John, it's been a week since we talked on the phone last night, but other than that, it's been a week. How's your week been?
Pretty good. It's it's heating up. Some of the bigger power conferences start in the next couple of days. Well, ACC started today, Big 12. SEC starts tomorrow. And if you're not familiar with the SEC, I always aggravate people when I say it's the BBN Invitational. Every single year, Kentucky fans go to Nashville. Yeah. So it's a big deal every single year. A lot of teams jockeying for position in the bubble ranks. A lot of mid-majors are playing tonight in their championship games. Oakland, as a matter of fact, just beat Wisconsin Milwaukee to go to the tournament. There's a couple other teams that won tonight. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
we'll get to some of that.
Great environments. Teams fighting for their life. That's what I love about March.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a great time of year. Absolutely love this time of year. But I want to get started tonight quickly. I'll try to do this quickly, but I got a chance to go with College SportsCast and Greenville Sports Media. I got a chance to go to the SEC Conference Tournament, Women's Conference Tournament this past weekend. Been out of town, so that's the reason why we didn't do a show. But I just wanted to thank the SEC office, Tammy Wilson, and thank the office for the opportunity to go down there and cover the SEC Women's Tournament. It was amazing. I also want to thank Cammie Moore from the University of Kentucky for the chance to cover Kentucky women's basketball this year. And that is the reason why I got a chance to go to the SEC tournament. I mean, John, it's pretty amazing. I mean, South Carolina, it was in Greenville, South Carolina. Of course, they're the number one team in the land. So they have a huge, you was talking about the UK Invitational. I'm talking South Carolina compared to anybody else just had a huge conglomerate of fans. I mean, in the stadium, the Saturday and Sunday was completely sold out both days. I think it held a little over 16,000, or right around 16,000. I think the arena did. And it was just an amazing atmosphere. To see every SEC team play. I've seen every SEC team play at least once, some of them multiple times this year on the women's side. I will have to say the top four teams, South Carolina, LSU, I think Ole Miss and Tennessee. Tennessee was the fifth seed, really, but I think that was the top four teams. Tennessee, South Carolina was a great game. Buzzer beater by Camila Cardoza on Saturday. She had to bank in a three to keep South Carolina survive to go to the finals. It was an amazing game, amazing moment. And then you get Angel Reese versus, LS Kim Mulkey versus Dawn Staley in the finals. And, Angel Reese versus Camila Cardoza and LSU, South Carolina. It was an amazing time. I love being down there, and hope we get to continue, and that I did a good job, hopefully, trying to cover first time doing this and being there. So
and Brad did not get escorted out by security.
Well, it wasn't me. It wasn't me that jumped the scores table at the end, I promise.
Very intense situation that happened that luckily everything didn't get out of control like it could have. It could have gotten to
the Greenville police, the police and the security that was there was on top of it pretty quick. Once it happened, so everybody, it was a wild scene, but it was under control pretty quickly.
Yep.
So you got to give a thanks to the Greenville police and the security that was there. The SEC puts on a great show. It's a shame that happened at the end, kind of marred it just a little bit. But the truth is, the SEC done a great job. They put on a great show. And Kim Mulkey is getting tired of getting beat by Dawn Staley, I think. So,
Are you ready for round 3? Well, actually, it would be round 4, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So
I think
she's been there 2 years now. Yeah, and she hasn't beaten Dawn Staley yet. And of course they won the title last year by beating Iowa, and Iowa beat South Carolina. So I just want to say this real quick. South Carolina women's basketball, the last 3 seasons, their record is 103-3.
That's impressive.
Did y'all hear me? 103-3.
That's pretty impressive, to be honest.
That's beyond outstanding. So congratulations to the South Carolina Gamecocks and Dawn Staley and her entire revamped lineup. She lost 5 starters off of that team last year and revamped an entire team and is still undefeated going into the NCAA tournament and Selection Sunday.
Tells you what kind of coach she is.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, just absolutely stellar. Kim Mulkey and LSU has a great team. They should have a very deep run into the NCAA tournament as well. Mm-hmm. Maybe we get round 3 for this year. They played twice now.
Oh, they played twice. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I thought they played 3 times because I thought they played 2 in the regular season. But
no, they just played 1 in the regular season at LSU, and then in the SEC tournament. So maybe we get round 3 in the Final 4 or something. Maybe we'll see. It would be a great game if we do. But again, I want to thank the SEC office and appreciate being a part of that and getting a chance to cover. So just want to start with that. And then I want to move quickly to Kentucky women's basketball. I already mentioned Cammie Moore. I want to make sure that I mention her again. She helped me get in this and be credentialed for Kentucky women's basketball this season. And with her help, got credentialed for the SEC tournament as well. So I got to put a big plug to her. Her name is Cammie Moore. She is the Kentucky women's SID, the head public relations, media relations for Kentucky women's basketball. There's some news on Kentucky women's basketball. Yesterday morning, Kyra Elzy was fired 2 years after beating South Carolina. I just told y'all they were 103-3. One of those losses in the last 3 years came to Kyra Elzy and the Kentucky Wildcats.
And there's talk. I don't know what the situation is that Matthew Mitchell might be back.
There is. So
maybe
she had two losing seasons the last 2 years. Had a kind of rough go. She had some players transfer out. I really hate to see her go. I've got to give a huge shout out to Kyra Elzy from myself as well. She has been great to me this season. I loved getting to do her press conferences and everything. So for myself, I really kind of hate to see her go. I understand that this is business and that you got to win. And I mean, I understand all that, but Kyra Elzy, I really hope that you land on your feet somewhere. I think you're a great coach.
Good person too.
And a great person. Absolutely. Like I was talking to her, I was walking in behind. I was talking to her going to the press conference this past weekend. I mean, it was just like she's really personable. She's a great person. And honestly, for myself, being my first go around with the team, I'm going to miss her. I hope she lands on her feet somewhere soon. So just want to put that out there. You're right. There is talk that Matthew Mitchell may come back. He's only 53 years old, guys. I think the winningest coach in Kentucky women's basketball history. I'll have to look that up to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's right. He went to 3 Elite Eights that I know of, that I can remember. He won 1 SEC regular season title, which is tough in women's basketball. He placed second like 3 times, I think. So everybody knows Matthew Mitchell. Just want to say there is a chance that he might come back.
And there's some talk that the Louisville coach might be interested a little bit. So I don't know.
That one's tough for me. And if you want me to throw out some names for you real quick, Grand Canyon's head coach, Molly Miller is a name to watch. Fairfield's head coach, I'll probably butcher her last name. It's Tybalt Dudonis, Carly Dubalt Dudonis. I think I'll probably butcher her name. But anyways, she's been at Mississippi State. She's been at Minnesota. She's now leading Fairfield. They're 28-1. Their only loss was a 3-point loss at Vandy this year. They're 25th in the country, just to kind of give you a name there. Marshall's head coach, Kim Stevens, is another one to pay attention to. And Florida Gulf Coast. Y'all remember the Florida Gulf Coast men's team? Their coach is another coach, and it starts with an S. I'm trying to think what his name is right off the top of my head, but their coach is another name, Florida Gulf Coast. He's another one to watch out for. So, all right. We will get to some more stuff here. It looks like we have Josh and Clyde with us. What's up, guys? We'll get to some more stuff. I just wanted to start out with those 2 things. All right, John. The ACC started today.
Yep.
The ACC tournament started today. Theirs starts on Tuesday and ends on Saturday. So I know Louisville played today at 4:30.
They lost to North Carolina State. The Kenny Payne era is officially over.
Is he gone for sure?
Well, I meant for this season is what I meant to say.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly, this is only his second year, but I expect him to be gone.
And I tell people this all the time, especially with Kenny Payne. He walked into a horrible situation, and a lot of it is not on him.
Mama Hammonds as well.
Well, there's Mama, but a lot of it wasn't on him though. There was a lot of things that was happening even before he got there, and it just kind of spiraled out of control. I just think that Louisville needs, if they do move on, they need to move on and get a coach that knows what they're doing. And
it's Ron John Surf Shop. Sorry, I'm just messing with Josh. Or Josh is messing with me.
But get them a coach in there that you can get Louisville back to where they need to be, because when Louisville basketball is good, college basketball is good. And right now, it's a tough
situation. I agree
situation.
with that 100%. And I really thought Kenny would do a much better job. He's had 2 years. He's only won 11 ball games in 2 years. 3 last year, 8 this year. It is an improvement from last year, but my Lord, last year was, you might as well, dreadful. There's a good word. And this year wasn't a whole lot better. So I just don't know if he's going to be right for the job. It's tough. He'd never been a head coach before. I said that when they hired him. You just don't know what you're going to get when you do that. I realized that he'd been part of some staffs at the in New York. He had also been, part of Kentucky and done a good job as an assistant, but he'd never been a head coach before. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal, if you ask me. But all right, let's dig into the ACC. Everybody knows North Carolina and Duke, so we'll get to them in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are some teams to look out for that you think could make a run at least to the finals?
I would say Clemson. PJ Hall is a really good player for Clemson. They got a really good team, and they're playing for seeding. Last I looked, Clemson was on the 6th line right now.
I saw 5, so I'm not sure 5 or 6. Yeah,
5 and 6. And they can move up a little bit in the tournament. Wake Forest maybe, but Wake Forest is one of those teams that you just don't know what you're going to get with them. They beat Duke, and then I think they come back, and then they lost to Georgia Tech.
Does Virginia score some points and make any noise in this tournament?
I wouldn't be shocked. I'll say this. I wouldn't be shocked if Virginia's in the first 4. I really wouldn't in the play-in game. Because if you look across their resume, they do not, if their schedule, they just don't have a lot of great wins. I just, from what I've been hearing, they're going to be in that little group of the last 4 buys. They can improve that by winning in this ACC tournament. I just don't see them going through and beating Duke and North Carolina and some of these teams. Like, their offense just goes into stalls at times. Now, their defense will travel, but you got to put the ball in the hoop at some point during the game. Like, you can't just go, the other night they went 1 for 15 to start the game, and you just can't do that against good teams.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you this. Since we are talking March Madness here, how many teams out of the ACC you think get in?
It's tough. I think you're going to get North Carolina. I think you're going to get Duke. I think you're going to get Clemson. And then you're going to get Virginia is going to get in. And then from there, it's a crapshoot because you're probably Wake Forest is going to have to probably win their first game to get any opportunity to have a shot to get into the tournament. These last couple of losses that they've got, committee's not going to like that too much. Now they do have the Duke win, but you're going to have to do some more work in the ACC tournament if you're going to slide into a bid.
So we got North Carolina, we got Duke. I'm pretty sure Virginia's going to sneak in.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3. Clemson's in. There's 4. Is there another ACC team that gets in? Or does all these teams have to make a run to the championship?
I think a few of them has to make a run. Like a team like NC State. They're kind of on the back burner there. Teams like Wake Forest, even Virginia Tech, because they was in the all year. They was kind of straddling the fence there for the last 4 in. But man, ACC is just so down. Like beyond Duke and North Carolina, there's just not a lot of solid teams in there. Like,
I mean, if I had to pick one team right now that I think can actually make the finals, I would say it's Clemson outside of Duke and North Carolina.
Clemson. Yeah, it's Clemson.
Yeah, I'd say it's Clemson that can get there. They are a little bit hot and cold. So if they're hot, they can definitely beat North Carolina or Duke.
Yeah,
if they play good.
And Clemson,
if they're not playing well, then they're going to get beat by 15. I mean, that's just the way they are.
Just who they are. Yeah.
Yeah. But they do have the talent to do it, I think. So, North Carolina won the regular season. It would not surprise me if Duke wins the conference tournament.
Wouldn't shock me.
It would not shock me.
But it's hard. It's hard to deny what R.J. Davis is doing right now for North Carolina, though.
Absolutely. I mean, he was a first-team All-American day in Sporting News. So, I mean,
that's to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the favorite here in the ACC, of course, is North Carolina to win the ACC.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, John. The next one we're going to talk about is the Big East.
Yeah.
So in the Big East, of course, you've got the top dog UConn. And they kind of ran away with the overall, number 1 seed for the conference tournament.
Yep.
They're a few games ahead of everybody else. I mean, of course, you got Marquette, you got Creighton,
you do,
and at the top. I'd say those are the 3. I'd say those are the 3 top teams. But outside of those, who do you think? I mean, does a team like Xavier have a chance to make a run here in the Big East?
I think they do. They play Butler first game tomorrow. The 3 games that play tomorrow: Butler, Xavier, Providence plays Georgetown, and Villanova plays DePaul. Which Villanova most likely will beat DePaul. But Villanova will get, according to this, they'll get. What's like Marquette? Yeah, it's Marquette.
What's that?
But this is the one that's tricky to me, this tournament, because anybody can win this tournament. Marquette won it last year. You got a good Drayton team. Baylor Shireman's really playing really well. Seton Hall's coming in pretty hot. You got a St. John's team that is on a roll right now with the Patino factor. But at the end of the day, I like UConn to win this tournament. UConn's playing at a level that I haven't seen, quite honestly, in a long time. They done it last year towards the end of the year. Now, early in the year last year, they struggled up until March, and they just went on a rampage and just destroyed all of college basketball in the tournament. And I'm not to say that they'll repeat again, but there's a good opportunity for them to repeat like Florida did in, what was it, 06, 07. But it's hard to repeat. But if I had to pick a team out of this batch that could win this tournament, I would go Creighton. Creighton's playing about as good as anybody right now. And when Creighton is playing their game
Creighton
offensively,
plays really good at home, but this ain't
do.
at home. So,
the thing
I don't
about Creighton is if you shut them down offensively, they're a totally different team. But when they're connecting with Kalkbrenner and Baylor Shireman and the guard, I think the transfer from Utah State, I can't think of his name. They are a completely different team. And
they've got a great team,
they
and
do.
and
It's
they
just
can win.
it's just putting it all together for them to win. Like
they killed UConn at Creighton.
They did.
About I don't know, 3 weeks ago, something like
but
that.
I'll tell you who has a really good draw though is Marquette. Them and Creighton avoid UConn until the championship. Now,
Right.
Seton Hall and St. John's will most likely have to play UConn in the semifinals. But if anybody can do it, it's old Ricky Slick Rick.
Is definitely, if you ask me, if you're going to pick a sleeper in this tournament, I think it would be Seton Hall.
Yep.
And by a sleeper, I mean somebody that most people wouldn't even mention.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to pick a sleeper in this tournament, I think it's probably this Seton Hall team. This Seton Hall team has snuck up on some people, on some really good teams, and beat almost every one of them at some point in time this season.
And I'll tell you another one that could slip up is St. John's. I say this, Slick Rick, he's going to be at his home arena. St. John's is going to have fans. They're going to be packing that place out. Like, wouldn't shock me at all if Rick Pitino won this tournament.
I kind of agree with you because they are going to be at home and, Madison Square Gardens. But if he's got to match up with UConn in the quarterfinals or semifinals, I think that's going to be it for Rick in the Big East, if you ask me. I just don't see them being able to beat.
I'll say this from the bubble standpoint. If Villanova doesn't, which they most likely should beat DePaul. Now, if you can't beat DePaul, then you really don't need to. But if they can get past DePaul,
that's worse than Louisville.
And they can win the next 2 games, there's a shot for them getting in. But just beating DePaul is not going to get Villanova into the tournament.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Villanova gets in right now. I'm not sure Butler gets in right now out of the Big East.
Butler and Xavier. And
I'm not crazy about St. John's being there myself. I mean, it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were 14-12. And I know they've won a few games since then. But I'm not crazy about St. John's being there right now. Now, if they go in the Big East tournament and win 2, then they probably deserve to be in. I'm still on the bubble about St. John's being in, to be honest.
The only really solid team that's in is Seton Hall.
Yes, I think Seton Hall's in. They got some really good wins.
They do.
Yeah, I think Seton Hall's in.
But when it boils down to it, I think that UConn wins this tournament. I think it's going to be them and Creighton for the championship. I think there'll be a rematch there. Yeah,
and I could see Marquette.
I could see Marquette winning. It all depends on who comes out and shows out. So the Big East tournament's always fun.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite would definitely be UConn. I think my next 2 in order, in no order. I mean, my next 2 would be Creighton and Marquette.
Yep.
And then if I was going to pick a sleeper in the Big East, I told you guys I would pick Seton Hall.
Yeah, that's who I would go with. Yep.
All right, guys. So we are going to move from the Big East to the Mountain West.
My favorite conference.
We're gonna head out west here in the Mountain West. I really, really like this conference. I think they play some damn good basketball. They've got rabid fans that show up out there. I know a lot of people don't think that there is good basketball out west. A lot of people think of just the Pac-12 when you talk about out west. But I'm telling you guys, they have some rabid fans out there, and they pack these houses. And they play some really good basketball in the Mountain West.
Well, right now, Utah State's the overall 1 seed in that tournament. 2 seed is Nevada.
Nevada's a team to watch out there, I think.
They'll play the winner of Colorado State, San Jose State. Then you got Boise State, which will be the 3 seed. Then you got the 4 seed UNLV, and they'll play 5 seed San Diego State. And I say this, and I'm not saying that San Diego State is a sleeper, but they have not been up to par this year to their standards. Like last year, going to the Final Four championship. If there's a team to watch in this tournament, it's San Diego State. I expect them to turn it on here pretty quick. And I think they'll do that this coming week against UNLV. If they win that game, they'll have to play Utah State. The wild card in all of this whole tournament, to me, is New Mexico. New Mexico has to get past that first game. New Mexico has been kind of iffy at times. They've lost a couple at home at the Pit. They're not a really great road team. They do got Jamal Mashburn. They got Donovan Dent, which is one of the best players in the country that nobody really knows about. They got a really good, fun team. And
House is a great little guard.
And House is good, Jalen House. And I'll say this on the other side of the equation, Boise State is my team to watch. With Degenhart, Max Rice. Max Rice is the real deal, y'all. If you've not watched Max Rice play basketball, I suggest you tune in to the Mountain West TV this week and check it out. There's some really good players in this conference. Jaden Ledee plays for San Diego State. They got some really good players in this bracket and conference. And I'm going to be honest with you, man.
Great conference of basketball.
This might be the most fun conference tournament we'll get to see.
I know that most fans in college basketball think that the Big East is probably going to be the most fun conference to watch. I think it's the Mountain West.
I do too.
I really do.
I think every night you're going to have a game go down to the last 5 minutes. You're going to have a game time.
I'm going to get on my horse right now, and I'm going to start saying to you guys, I do not understand why UNLV is not at least on the damn bubble. I don't understand it.
Well, a lot of it.
10 of the last 12 games, they are 4th in one of the best conferences in the country. They had won 10 out of 11 and then go to Nevada and win and lose their last game of the year. Okay.
Yeah, but they have 2 quadrant 4 losses. That's really what's keeping them behind the 8 ball.
I know, but man, I hate to see early, and I'm still a little old school. Okay. I know that they don't do it this way anymore. I kind of understand that they don't do it this way anymore, but man alive, when a team comes on and does what UNLV has done the last half of this season, you can't legitimately look at me and tell me they don't deserve a shot. Sure, they lost some games in November and December that were bad losses. Guess what? That's why you improve. That's why you have a season and play games to improve. And guess what they did? They started whipping people's ass. Good teams. in the Mountain West.
But I'll say this: I think their season ends Thursday. I just don't think they're going to beat San Diego State.
This
out
is
there.
at home.
He's
talking about St. John's being at home.
I agree with you, but
UNLV, the running Rebs, are playing at UNLV. They're playing at home. This Mountain West Conference is at home for them, and they've been killer. They've been knocking off these teams. Don't count out the running Rebs. Jerry Tarkanian is coming back, y'all. Y'all don't even know who that is, probably.
But this should be a fun conference to watch, though. This tournament.
The Shark is swimming back to Vegas.
The Shark with his towel in his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, y'all probably know who I'm talking about. All right. Anyways, so if I had to pick my sleeper here at home, I'm going UNLV. You just said San Diego State has been a little bit of a disappointment. UNLV finished ahead of them in the Mountain West, 4 and 5 seeds. This year in the Mountain West, one game better than they did, and it's at home. If I have to pick a sleeper in this one, I'm going UNLV. New Mexico needs a win or two.
They do.
To ensure that they get in. And they missed last year. I hate to see them miss again. Talking about Rick Pitino a while ago with St. John's. If you don't know, the head coach of New Mexico is Richard Pitino, which is his son.
Yep.
And they do have Jamal Mashburn Jr. on this team. Now, he's not 6'8", 240. He's like 6'2", 200. Okay? But he's a good player. And, you know, I myself would like to see them get in. I think there's two favorites in this conference tournament. I think you go Utah State and Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
I think either one of those teams could actually go through and win this thing. And then my sleeper in this one, of course, I said, is UNLV. They have a tough road to get there if they're going to do it. But and then I also hope that New Mexico can get a couple of wins out of here and advance and get in the March Madness, get in maybe the play-in game or something like that. But if I had to pick a champion, I'm going one of the top two teams, Utah State or Nevada. What do you think?
Yeah, that's where I would go with it.
I mean, Boise's got a good team. Don't want to go out of here without mentioning Boise. Colorado State has got a good team as well.
Yeah, they got a guy by the name of Isaiah Stevens that is absolutely tough to play against in the tournament. So they got some studs there. So
this is a wide open. I think this one's a wide open deal here, at least to get to the finals. Like any one of these teams could get to the finals.
Any one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the Big 12. Let's talk about the Big 12. I think the Big 12 started today as well, didn't it?
It did. It did. Cincinnati defeated West Virginia. Actually, what's crazy is West Virginia was up, I think, double digits, and Cincinnati come back and won. And UCF beat Oklahoma State. So Wednesday, BYU will play UCF at 12:30 Eastern Time. TCU will play Oklahoma at 3. Texas will play Kansas State at 7. And then the nightcap, you're going to have Kansas and Cincinnati, which right now Kansas is without Hunter Dickinson and McCullough until the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
How does Kansas respond without these two?
I'm gonna be honest with you, John. They really have 5 players that they play a whole lot. They don't have much bench. I don't know how they make a run in the Big 12 tournament.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
and
I wouldn't be shocked if Cincinnati won this game, because if you look back at the game early in the year, Cincinnati almost beat them in Lawrence. It was a 5-point game that Kansas won, in a game that Kansas struggled in.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Kansas has not looked good down the stretch. Even before Dickinson got hurt, even before Lower got hurt, Kansas has not been what Kansas was.
Been missing some games, and that's part of the reason why they have played bad. But
Well,
without McCullough and Dickinson in this Big 12 tournament, I don't think Kansas has a shot. Not a chance in hell, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
Not to win this tournament.
And to be fair, this is going to affect their seeding too, honestly.
Yeah.
Like where they was at a 3 for quite a while.
I have a season-long running joke that I call them Kansas 2 seeds because they've been in the 2 seed position all year long, no matter what they do. So if they do drop, I'm just going to say finally. I mean, somebody's
if they lose this game to Cincinnati, don't be shocked if they get to a 4. Don't be shocked if somebody jumps them into that.
I'll be honest with you, John. If they lose to Cincinnati first round, I think they should be a 5 seed.
I agree with you.
That's 10 losses.
It's
And they're 2-7 in the Big 12 on the road.
Not good.
Did y'all hear what I just said? They're 2-7 on the road in the Big 12. How in God's name can you still have them as a 3 seed? That's insane.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm looking around on this bracket, and there's some sleepers in this bracket. You got Texas. Then you got a team like Kansas State. Would Texas Tech be considered a sleeper? I guess they would. TCU, BYU. To be honest, this might be one of the best.
BYU could make a little noise in this Big 12 tournament. Now, I have not seen the bracket, and I don't know who they're matched up with.
I'll say this. If I had to really pick the winner of this this tournament, I'm going to go Houston, man. Like, Houston's playing at a level that they're just locked in right now. Offensively, defensively. I said it a couple of weeks ago. There's only 2 teams that I trust on that one line going into the NCAA tournament, and that's UConn and Houston right now. Now, it can change over time. My thing with Purdue, I always said I've just always been weary of their opportunities, the way they've squandered them, especially last year of FDU, and then the year before that, I think, when they lost to St. Peter's in the Sweet 16. Sometimes they just don't get as far as they like to go. But Houston is my
Jerry Carter. If they lose to Cincinnati, that right there, they don't deserve anything more than a 5 seed.
I agree with you. And but my sleeper in this bracket is Texas, and my winner is Houston. My second team to possibly win this is Iowa State. Iowa State's playing better.
I think it's Houston's tournament to lose here. I mean, Houston is just, in my opinion, even with Dickinson and McCullough, I think Houston is by far the best team in this conference.
I do too.
Iowa State is probably second, and I think they have a good chance to make a run to the finals. They are really good at home and been a little bit bad at times on the, away from home.
But they have improved. They had improved that year, though. They've won some games on the road they normally don't win. So,
yeah,
they've done better in that regard. But
my sleeper out of the Big 12 here is BYU. I really feel like BYU, who finished 5th in this conference.
And I don't hate that.
In their first season, Houston first season, number 1, by the way. But BYU finishing 5th in the Big 12 with Texas and Oklahoma is a pretty big accomplishment, I think, for them.
Well, And the team that's kind of going backwards, you just said, was Oklahoma. Like they're going in reverse, like big time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They
Texas finished 9-9, and Oklahoma finished 8-10 in the Big 12.
I'll be honest with you. I've said this about Texas. When Dylan DeSue is playing at his level, and Max Abmas, when he's playing good, when they got guys controlling the paint and hitting shots, Texas could beat anybody. But they haven't been able to do that all year. They've had games where they just fall apart. And
yeah, I mean,
could you imagine?
They're two up
Could you
and down.
imagine being a 1 seed though, and seeing the 8-9 game Texas being there? Like that's a tough opponent.
And that likely could happen. I mean, the Big 12 is going to get 8 or 9 teams in, guaranteed.
Guaranteed, at least. Yeah.
At least 8 or 9 teams into the dance. They're going to lead the country probably. The SEC's looking at 7, might be able to sneak an 8 in. But I think the Big 12 is going to lead.
Is there going to be 7 in the Pac-12 like Bill Walton said? By the way, Bill Walton's coming, everybody. If you don't know, he's coming to the Pac-12.
Is he?
Well, I mean, he does that during the conference tournaments. He comes to do the play-by-play. So our annual Bill Walton appearance is on the way back. You gotta love Bill Walton. You gotta love Bill Walton. Eating candles.
He's a little out there, man. He's just a little bit out there.
Barking dogs. He's something else now.
He's a little bit out there. I'm telling you, just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit out there.
All right, so that's the Big 12. We're going to go to the Pac-12 here and talk about the Pac-12. Of course,
I just see 2 teams getting in.
Arizona is the leader in the Pac-12. There are a couple of teams here that I think is worth mentioning. Oregon is not a terrible team. They just they don't play in a great conference, so it's going to be hard for them to sneak in. But is there any team in the Pac-12 do you think that can actually challenge Arizona for the Pac-12, the last, I guess, Pac-12 tournament?
That's a tough question because, there's so many dynamics that happen in these these tournaments.
I mean, USC just beat them by 13 like Sunday, this past Saturday or Sunday.
If we're basing it on talent and overall play, it has to be Wazoo, Washington State. Washington State has the makeup to beat them. Now, I'm going to give you one out of left field that's probably people's going to say, well, where did you come up with that at? What did you mean by that? But don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if USC make a run to the title game.
I just said USC beat Arizona this past Saturday by 13.
Because they're getting people healthy. Boogie Ellis is healthy. You got Isaiah Collier that's playing really well. Then
He's back healthy. He's been hurt.
Ronnie James that's playing really well right now. Don't be shocked if USC makes a run in this tournament. And don't be shocked.
14 and 17. I mean, they've had a terrible year, but they've dealt with a lot of injuries as well.
And don't be shocked if UCLA makes a run, because Mick Cronin, he does really good in tournament play.
UCLA's they're 15 and 16.
They're not a good team, but Mick Cronin gets them prepared when they.
Well, I have to say they started out like 5 and 10, so they went like 10 and 5 or something.
But if I really had to total out the bids in this conference, it's going to be Washington State and Arizona. I just don't see anybody else getting in except maybe Utah, but they flew the coop a couple of weeks ago with the way they faltered.
Yeah, I just don't think Colorado is 22 and 9.
Oh yeah, Colorado. I forgot to mention
Colorado might get in.
Colorado might get in. Yes.
I think you might get 3 teams.
You might get 3 teams out of that. That's about it. Just a really bad year.
Oregon is 20 and 11. They're the team that I think, is right there, but they're just below the bubble. If you ask me, probably at that 20-11.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Utah is a team that has a lot of talent. I've seen them play
They're just
several times this year.
Inconsistent.
They are.
Like for instance, they beat, what was it, BYU, and then they come out and they just get whipped by a lower level team. Was it UCLA, I think, or somebody?
Yeah, I mean, they
had
no consistency.
They look
they're
really
18-13 out of the Pac-12. They're 9
and there was a while,
11.
and there was a while there where Utah was a lock for a while.
Yeah,
they was sitting right pretty to get into the tournament, and then they just kind of fell off the map towards the end of the year.
I know you said Wazoo as you know, the other one. I think Colorado could be a sleeper here. USC is a good pick, and UCLA is a good pick because they have played better down the stretch.
Like I said, everybody, this is on the College SportsCast podcast. Don't be shocked if USC makes a run to the championship game. Don't be shocked.
I mean, it could happen.
Don't be shocked. Because they're getting healthy. Because they're getting healthy at the right time.
I think it definitely could happen. So
good.
We're going to move on to the Big Ten, the Purdue Invitational. I mean, the Big Ten.
Oh goodness! He's trying to stir up some people out there, I guess.
I mean, I meant to say the Big Ten. I'm so sorry, guys. All right.
You know, I've been looking at this bracket for the last couple of days, and do you know who's done an easy draw to the championship game?
Who? I haven't looked, so I've been busy.
Nebraska. Sure do.
Well, we were just talking about the Pac-12, and you said 2 or 3 teams. You said 2, and I said probably 3. But if you look at this Big Ten, are there more than 4 teams that even deserve to be in the big dance?
Beyond Nebraska, probably not.
Like, if you look at the Big Ten, I am dead serious, guys. Are there really 4 teams, beyond 4 teams, that deserve to get in March Madness? Because when you look at it, I'm not so sure that there is.
Well, when you get past Illinois and a few of those teams, it trickles down to a bunch of crapshoot teams. You know, you got Michigan State.
Michigan State's going to get in. They're going to get 5 because Michigan State's going to get in. I would almost guarantee it.
They're not going to leave Izzo out. It's just not going to happen.
But if you look at the standings, they're down the list by they're like 8 or something. They're like 18-13 or something like that.
You know who my sleeper is? Ohio State. They're 5-1 since Chris Holtman got fired.
Yeah.
Or is it 5-1, 6-1? I think it's 5-1. They beat Purdue. Had some really good wins. I'm telling you, if Ohio State somehow was to get to the semifinals, there's a good chance they could get in. You know, they're playing about as good as anybody right now. Nebraska's playing really well. The sleep, I wouldn't say it's a sleeper, but the team to watch in this tournament is Illinois. Illinois is starting to click and figure it out. Terrence Shane Jr. is really good. Lomask is good. Domask, the man in the middle for Illinois. They got a really fun team. Lomask. I meant Domask. I think that's how you say his name, Domask. That's his name. That's his name. But does anybody really knock off Purdue in this tournament, though? I mean,
I'm telling you, didn't I say Purdue Invitational? I mean, honestly, Illinois got a good team. Could they do it? Yes. I just don't think they're going to get there. I think it's going to be an 8-point win. Purdue survives with a 6 or an 8-point win every week.
here leaves you a mind-numbing decision behind this one. And I know people's going to be like, well, that might not happen, but it's happened before. Michigan State just goes on a tear, and they win the whole daggone Big Ten tournament. And I'd say that because
they have to
I'm saying that because Izzo, when it gets time for tournament time in March, Izzo's a different breed. He's just a different animal.
I've been saying this for a while. Wisconsin is 5th in the Big Ten. Okay, their overall record is 19-12. They are 11. They're 11-9 in the Big Ten. That's their conference record. All right. They're 19-12 overall. They have some really good wins early in the season. Early.
I will say this about Wisconsin. They do got a really good player in AJ Storrs.
They do.
He's a fun player to watch.
Again, I'm a little old school. Just like I was talking about UNLV, they had some bumps early in the season and then improved. Wisconsin started out with some really impressive wins and then have shit the bed the rest of the year, if you ask me. And I don't in my opinion, if you are looking to fill this field with the best teams, you don't pick teams that played well in November and playing like crap in February. You pick teams that played like crap in November and playing well in February.
It's possible, Josh. He said so you're thinking they might get 6 bids. It's going to be close.
Well, I think Wisconsin's going to get in. Do I think they deserve it? Wisconsin was still hanging around a 3 or 4 seed a few weeks ago. And I mean, it's ridiculous if you ask me. Do I think they really deserve it? If you ask me, just like I just said, I'd rather have a team that's playing great in February headed to March for March Madness, February and March, than a team that's playing great in November and December and looking like crap in February and March.
You know who the wild card is in this whole tournament?
You said Ohio State.
Well, that's the sleeper, but you know who the wild card is? Just take a look around.
It's probably Northwestern.
No.
They're one of the few teams that's beaten Purdue this year.
They've struggled all year.
They beat Purdue.
I'm talking about Indiana.
I'm
talking Indiana.
They're 4th in the conference.
Indiana is getting good the last 2 or 3 weeks.
They're 18-13. They're 10.
I know, but they've been playing really well. They beat Michigan State Sunday. I'm telling you, man. Indiana's done it before in these little, 8, 9 games, 12 games, where they make a run to the championship.
Boo!
I'm not saying they're going to get there. I'm just saying, just be careful that, they're one of those teams that could slide in there. You never know.
Well, so I think they do probably get 6 in, Josh. You asked if I think they get 6 in. I think Michigan State is going to get in. I also think Wisconsin's going to get in. And then you got the top
Jerry.
4.
Sorry, Gary. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying, I'm just saying they're just a team to watch is all I'm saying.
They've played like crap all year.
They played like crap, but look at the last week and a half. They've looked like a complete team.
They're not looking at the last 2.5 months with UNLV. Yeah. They can't look at the last week and a half. I mean, honestly.
Everybody views it differently, my brother.
I mean, with UNLV, they played great for 2 months.
And here's the big boy conference.
All right, guys, it's the SEC time. I think
Just the
this
last
SEC
one.
is WFO. And if y'all don't know what that stands for, look it up. I think it is wide open. Okay.
Wide freaking open.
Yeah. I think it's WFO. This is wide open. I think that there is probably 6 teams that could win this thing.
Do I go down the line and tell you which ones I think?
Go ahead.
I'm not talking about.
That could win.
I'm not talking about the favorites. I'm talking about teams that are not really under the radar, but just like sleeper teams. I'll give you 3. I'll give you Texas A&M would be one. Florida would be one. And I know that people's going to go, they're going to say, well, why are you saying this team when they've been bad all year? And that's Arkansas and Musselman. And I tell you why. Because Arkansas, when they get prepared for the tournament, Musselman turns into a different breed. Now, that's not to say –
in Arkansas, the last couple of weeks has seemed to found something. They didn't beat – they've lost a couple of those games, but they've been right in it and they've been scoring. The problem Arkansas had this year was for 85% of this season, they struggled to put the ball in the basket. They struggled to score.
Yeah.
But the last few weeks, they've been averaging 85 or 90 points a game.
Well, think about this, though. I'm looking at the bracket right now. You got hold on a minute. I had it, and I hate when you have to look at stuff up. But let's see here. Here's the bracket. On the top side, you got Vanderbilt and Arkansas. They'll play the first game Wednesday tomorrow night. Then you got Missouri, Georgia. Listen at the top bracket now. You got Mississippi State. You got South Carolina and Arkansas there. And then you got Auburn. That's a rough road to the championship. I don't care what anybody says.
Let me start out talking about the SEC here. Just talking about how South Carolina got absolutely screwed in this deal.
They did.
There is 4 teams tied for the two spot. All right. And because there's that many teams, they go by round robin record. They don't go by head to head. They go by round robin. And because they went by round robin, South Carolina gets knocked down to the 5 seed when they are in the 2 spot. Okay. Which means they have to play on Thursday instead of starting on Friday, and the 5 seed gets matched up with Auburn.
Yeah.
On Friday.
And
right off the bat.
And Auburn 40-pieced them at Neville Arena.
Yes. You're talking about an absolute screwing. And here's what I want to say. And I know this is a different sport, but I've got to throw this in here. The reason why I'm going to bring this up is because how this happened is there was 4 teams tied for this spot, okay? They just did away with divisions in football. And I got to throw this in here, okay? What happens if we have Georgia go 12-0, and then we have Texas, Ole Miss, and LSU all go 11-1?
Goes by round robin.
Is somebody not going to get screwed here? I just don't like it at all.
Somebody is.
I don't like the way this worked out. I don't think that it was done right. I don't think it was done fairly, and I don't like it. And I'm just going to say that right off the bat.
Well, and then on the bottom half, you got Texas A&M. You got Florida, which they play the winner of Missouri and Georgia tomorrow night. And then you got Alabama in the late game on Friday. And then you got Kentucky playing the early game. And I'm just going to go ahead and give you my sleepers. Well, I'm going to give you 2. My 2 sleepers are Texas A&M and I think Arkansas. But when it boils down to everything, I think you're going to see another Tennessee-Kentucky final when it boils down to the championship. I think you're going to see Kentucky and Tennessee play again.
Man,
And you're going to have another classic.
It would be great if that happened, to be honest with you. I mean, those two teams, they hate each other. They always play great games. And we just got one on Saturday. That means we would get another one this coming Sunday if that happens.
We'd get another classic. What we'd get. We'd have another.
I want to say this on Saturday. I think Kentucky played that game exactly right. I think you give Dalton Connect his points and you shut down Ziegler and James and everybody else. Vescovi. I'm gonna give y'all a tidbit here, okay? So when Kentucky played them at Rupp, when Tennessee beat them pretty good, 10, 11, 12 points, okay, in Rupp, Ziegler, Vescovi, and James scored 63 points between them three. They averaged 27 together, combined, between the three players. They averaged 27. We let them three, you know what, score 63 points. The other night, on Saturday, we let Connect have his game, and we held those three players to 25, 2 points under their average. And guess what? We beat them in Knoxville. I don't care if Dalton Connect has 35 or 40. Let him have his. Shut everybody else down. That's how you beat them.
I'm gonna go a different route on this one. We like to talk about the games and who's going to be there and whatnot, but I'd like to just give out some players to watch in this tournament. You got Josh Hubbard. From Mississippi State.
He's been playing phenomenal. If you haven't watched Josh Hubbard at Mississippi State, he's been playing. He's a freshman, y'all, and he's been averaging 28, 32, 29, 34 one game. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal.
On the other side, you got Mark Sears from Alabama. You got Kentucky with Reed Shepherd. Tennessee, you got Dalton Connect. You got Zakai Ziegler. There's a bunch on that team. Tennessee has 2 or 3 different guys that could beat you. Jordan James is one. Even Jonas Adu. Jonas Adu's playing really well right now. He's played.
If I had to pick a second guy that I really think I would pick Adu is who I would pick.
Yeah, he's actually had one of the better years that I've seen him have in a while. He's a completely turned player than he was a year ago. On Arkansas, you got some guys, Khalif Battle.
Battle's been playing
phenomenal lately. If you want to look at Auburn's got Denver Jones is playing really well. They got Aiden Holloway, Johnny Broom. South Carolina's got Michie Johnson. He can light it up at any time.
Wade Taylor, Texas A&M. I mean, the SEC's loaded.
There's so many guys that's going to be down there that's going to be – they could take over a game and just win and focus themselves for a championship. Let
me ask you about a team, John. Let me ask you about a team. Let me ask you about LSU. LSU, they closed out the season better than most would have ever thought. They are you might have it pulled up. Are they like 17-14 or
I haven't got it pulled up yet. Let's see here. Let's see. They are – it don't even show it.
I'll try to get it pulled up here.
They
finished 7th, I think, in the SEC.
It just shows their schedule. Oh, here we go. They're 17 and 14.
17 and 14. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
They're 17 and 14. They finished 7th in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And they are either 10 and 8. They're 9 and 9. They're 9 and 9 in the SEC.
Yeah.
And they finished tied with Texas A&M for 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have an outside shot? Do you think, or no?
No. Had they beat Mississippi State at home, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, like right before the Kentucky.
Is Mississippi done? Do you think they're done after the
Ole
meeting?
Miss? Yeah. The only way Ole Miss gets in, I think, is they got to win the tournament, the SEC
You
tournament.
think so?
Yeah.
Even if they get to the finals, say, do you think they could get in? They're 20 and 11 overall.
Well, the issue is the downward spiral they had at the end of the year. That's where
They did. I mean, I agree.
Now, they do got a nice win over Memphis, which Memphis is actually starting to play really well right now. But it's just the end of the year flop.
So Tennessee, Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida are absolutely locked in the NCAA tournament.
And while we're on the topic of Florida,
A&M is right on the bubble, and I think if they win one, they're probably in.
If they win two, they're most likely.
If they win two, that's going to mean that they beat Kentucky, by the way. But if they win two, I think they're locked. I think they're in.
And while we're on the topic of Florida, I know that everybody, we heard them other guys that I talked about, but if you haven't watched Florida, they got Zion Pullen. Then they got Walker Clayton Jr. I'm going to tell you something, man.
They have some stellar guards.
I'm going to tell you something. Zion Pullen might have the best pull-up game in the country. The way he shoots the ball, his mid-range game is about the best I've seen in a while.
Considering Rob Dillingham's pretty damn good at it.
Well, Rob's got a good mid-range too.
Pull-up game. I was talking about the pull-up game.
Yeah, well, the pull-up, but I'm gonna say this, and we'll shut her down for the night. Is there anybody in the country playing better than Kentucky right now?
Kentucky is playing well, and I'm glad to see it heading into March Madness.
Because usually it's the other way around.
But yes, I think Houston's playing really well. I think UConn has played really, really well, minus the one game at Creighton. But down the stretch, I think UConn has played really, really, really well. I mean, you can't say nothing about Purdue outside of one or two. They've only got 3 losses on the season. So, I mean, but Austin.
I was just basing this on.
I think Houston.
I was just basing this on going into the SEC tournament because in past years, Kentucky has struggled going into the
Tennessee, outside of the one loss to us, Tennessee's had as good a run as we have the last 5 or 6 games.
They have. I'm going to say this. There was a point. There was a point in the game Saturday. I think it was late when Shepard hit a shot, Reeves hit a shot, and then Shepard hit another shot. That was the best 3 minutes of offense that I've seen all year, where they just cooked, like just cooked Tennessee. And I'll say this on another angle too: if Kentucky plays defense, they don't have to play great defense. They just have to play enough. I don't think there's anybody in the country that can beat them offensively.
Jerry, my answer is 3 seed is probably our top, but if we were to win the tournament, is there a chance that we get a 2 seed? I think there's a chance, but here's what I'm going to say about a chance, okay? I think you're going to have to see a few of these teams above us lose this week.
Get knocked out. They're going to have to get knocked off early.
Friday or Saturday. If a few of those teams lose on Friday and Saturday,
because the committee has said that the bracket's already done by Saturday.
yes. But if a few of those teams lose on Friday and Saturday by Saturday afternoon, and Kentucky could show out and win the conference tournament, I think Kentucky could climb to that 2 spot.
Well, I'll give you an example. There was a couple of years back. Kentucky won the SEC tournament. Kentucky got a 5 seed. A&M got a 4.
Yeah.
Like, that happened, and a lot of people got upset over it. But sometimes they already got these seeds locked in usually by the weekend. Now, on Sunday, there's a couple games where they scrub.
Yeah, but what I was saying, John, is it's hard to lock some of these teams in by Saturday evening if they have already lost on Friday and Saturday.
But see, here's another thing that they don't get is like some of these Sunday games, say, for instance, a bid stealer comes out. They have to scrub some of those teams and put them in. Like there's some scrubbing that has to be done on Sunday on some of these brackets because of the championship games.
I mean, John, let's take Arizona. Let's take Arizona in the Pac-12 just as an example, okay? Arizona, a week or two ago, was being talked about as the 4th 1 seed. They lost to USC. They've lost a game or two here. They seem to be going on the downward spiral here. I think they are a 2 seed right now. But let's just say they get upset on Friday of the Pac-12 tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would be insane to say that they're not locked in at the 2 seed yet on Saturday.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
And then say Tennessee gets to the championship, Tennessee could be locked into that last number 1 seed.
Yeah,
it's just.
I think it's Tennessee's to lose right now. That last number 1 seed, I think even with the Kentucky loss on this past Saturday, I think it's Tennessee's to lose.
Tennessee deserves it. Look at the gauntlet that they played, though.
Yeah.
They went through South Carolina, Alabama.
Yeah.
And the only loss out of that was the Kentucky game, and they won the others. I mean,
the only other team, if you ask me, that has a chance at it is North Carolina. I think North Carolina has a chance at that 4th 1 seed.
I agree with you.
I don't think Arizona can get it now. I think it's going to be Tennessee or North Carolina.
I agree with you.
But Arizona, if they were to lose Friday or Saturday, maybe they fall to that 3 line and they're looking for a team to show out this weekend to move to that 2 line.
Yeah.
Just
either way, it's going to be a fun week. I'm glad you had a good time Saturday. Well, this past weekend. A lot of big things happening.
It was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was 5 days. It was a great time. Again,
a lot of big things are happening at College SportsCast.
John Roberts is covering Auburn baseball now. I'm covering Kentucky women's basketball. So I mean, there is a lot going on, and we are super, super excited, super proud to be doing this the way that we're doing it, and our own show here, our own media, and things.
And Joshua says, did they feed you yet? He says.
Food was amazing, Josh. SEC puts on, I mean, just a spectacular. I mean, honestly, the SEC was great, and I cannot say anything. I mean, spectacular.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things coming. To College SportsCast, can't really give out a lot of things, but there's a lot of things happening. So just be on the lookout.
It's March Madness, guys. We are excited here at College SportsCast. This is one of our favorite times of the year. I think it's my favorite. It always has been my favorite. I love football too, but there's just a feeling about March Madness. I mean, so I want to end the show here with this tonight. Selection Sunday might be my most favorite day of the damn year. Forget Christmas. Forget my birthday. I love Selection Sunday.
I do
This
too.
This Sunday, guys, it is Selection Sunday, man. I'm telling you, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how all this falls out. Look for us to have a couple of bracket things. We want you to join us and have a little fun with us through March Madness. And I'm going to try to put some of that stuff out this week on Facebook and Twitter. So look to join us with our bracket challenges. I'm going to do one for women's sports because I'm covering women's sports. I'm going to do one for men's. And then I've also got one that is a survivor. That's a survivor challenge. And that one should be a little fun too. So look for those things for Selection Sunday coming up. And the women's and the men's bracket will come out on Sunday. Men's first, and then the women's will be a little later.
We might do a show Saturday morning with everything happening this week.
I'm going to do a Selection Sunday show on Sunday. We usually do it at 3 o'clock. I'm probably going to push that back and do it like at 5 or something and do a Selection Sunday show. Because I'm telling y'all, it's Christmas. It's Christmas morning. I mean, I'm telling you. It's absolute Christmas morning.
Yep.
Did they feed you? Yeah, St. Mary and the Zags are playing right now. Anybody got an update?
Not on me right now.
They are in the finals of the West Coast Conference.
So
St. Mary's is ahead 42-35 with 15-31 in the second half.
good. I'll go watch the rest of it.
Yep. All right, guys. That is an update from us. Glad to be back. It is, like I said, Selection Sunday week. March Madness is here. And I know that we will do a show Friday or Saturday. If we do a Friday, it'll be a late Friday night show after the Kentucky game. And then we will definitely do a show on Sunday. Might do it at 5 Eastern instead of 4 Eastern and be on for an hour or so. So we can at least talk about the 1 seeds and things like that for Selection Sunday. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good one. And man, what a time of year. That's all I want to say.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night.